Whatever.
I just wanted a nice light, but I didn't want to light up the back. I don't
Yeah,
know,
no, that's cool. How you blurring the back though? How does it know what is back and what's not back?
There's on Skype, which you probably can't see it. On Skype,
Yeah.
there's an option, but I have the desktop version, so I don't know if that's the difference. The
Yeah.
desktop version.
So you have to use the desktop version in order to use NDI.
Okay, well then right there in the bottom right where it says more options next to the heart, it says blur background.
Ah.
You see
Okay.
it?
More. Okay, wait, hold on. Okay, settings.
This camera does look good, man.
Yeah, it looks glassy.
I should have spent like 20 more bucks for the better one too. Because like I guess like webcams are not a thing anymore, so Walmart only cares like one brand and two, a cheaper and a more expensive version, and like that's it.
Where's that thing? It's on appearance?
It's on the bottom right of like when you're looking at your whole screen next to the heart, where you can put the heart and stuff.
Oh, so it's not even in settings?
No, it's in the it's like right there in the three dots in the bottom right of the corner.
Oh, okay. I see share screen, show reactions, start recording. It's in there someplace? Oh, it's, audio and video settings. Oh.
Some more up. Like you see the share screen, the heart where you can react, I guess. I don't know. Okay, I guess you can do that. And then right next to it is the more options, like three little dots.
More options.
And then blur background.
Oh wow, mine doesn't show that. I guess I got to update my Skype.
Probably. Yeah, I just downloaded this.
Cool. Okay. Okay, we're streaming. So let me check. So I'm gonna look on my Facebook right now. I wish I had a good way to link stuff. I wish Restream would pop you links so you could use it for stuff. But let me check. So I'm looking on my live, like for instance. Here's my Facebook. I'm gonna see if the audio is actually working. All right, perfect. So that's working. My YouTube should be working. I don't need to test that. But if anybody types in the chat, it will it'll carry it over to YouTube. Wait a second. I just pressed this thing. So if anybody types in the chat, it'll carry it to YouTube and it'll carry it to Facebook and anything else I have on Restream. So here's my Restream chat thingy. So let me test this, and it should go to, yeah, you see that? It's going to Facebook and YouTube right now. Or it should be. Let's see if that actually... Come on, type it. Sometimes it's like 20 seconds of latency or something. Yeah.
There's the chat. There we go. Wait, I think.
Yeah, so that's my chat control
look,
screen.
Friend right now, right?
Yeah, that's the chat control stream. It should be. There we go. Now it's like 30 seconds of lag. So, but it'll carry it across them all. So I'm chatting in the Skype.
Up,
yeah, isn't that cool?
We're still trying to get everything working, so you're in the street.
Oh, who are you seeing? Is that Benny?
I'm seeing it. Benny adds a friend. I'm actually finishing up a track after this session for him. Okay. He's a synthwave artist. Cool. The chat is carrying over, so I can chat with people on the Facebook chat over here.
Yeah, but it'll carry it to YouTube allegedly.
Oh, nice. Woohoo!
And let's see. I think that's everything. Just gonna put one more link up. There we go.
I'm gonna go and share.
Usually these end up with nobody, and then people download or watch them later, and then tell me everything that I should have done. So.
Oh yeah.
All right, so I think. See now I just. Yeah, let me show you. So the cool thing, I totally forgot after, I hadn't been using RME for so long. I have these different mixes up where I think this is my main Reaper output. Oh, wait, what am I looking at? So here, I'm going to go to the mains. So this is my regular Reaper output. This is my Reaper plus Windows. This is just the Windows sound. This is a headphone mix that I send to the people. And this one is 7 and 8. This is the output of OBS, so I can hear what it sounds like, what's broadcasting.
Let's see.
Because half the time I'm broadcasting something and I don't know that it's coming out all distorted and messed up and everything, and then so.
Yeah, we just want to make sure.
But it's really okay. It's really kind of goofy, but I think we're ready to start. Let me see what episode is this. Not that anybody cares. Where? Let me find my. No. Restream live dashboard. So here's the restream
We got 5 people
dashboard.
live right now.
All right. So I think this is okay. Okay, so allegedly this is dropping in a pipeline audio number 28. And so this is I got Joshua Lopez on again from Widowmaker Studios, but for some reason it says Widowmaker Studiosdio, which is even cooler. So Dio. And let me show you how ridiculous this is. So I don't know if you can. I'm going to make sure we can see this. What am I doing? So this is. I'm just using this as an interface, right? This Midas M32. Okay. But it's not really the interface because I'm using the ADAT card on it, which is going to one of these RME Digiface USBs, like $500, 32 channels of digital audio on ADAT. And let's see, here's when we're teaching guitar, I got a JDI and a Pro DI right here. But this is the ridiculous part. Okay, I fixed my friend's SM7. He needs to get a new foam thing, but that's what I'm testing right now. So just to chat over Skype, as ridiculous as this is, it's going from the SM7 into an AMEC 9098. And then into this Focusrite for the analog to digital converter. But there's like a $40 bajillion signal chain for this Skype chat, you know. So I'm gonna give that 9098 back pretty soon. So, but that's what I'm using right now, and so I guess in case anybody's forgotten or didn't know, what's your story, Joshua? You own, where's Widowmaker Studios?
Oh no, is that a problem with me?
Uh-oh, let me see. I think we're running too many, uh-oh. Okay, you hear me? No! Let me check the Facebook.
Is it you or me? Because I know like my internet router has been needing to restart a lot. So for a second I was like, oh, go restart it quick.
Looks like I froze up. Oh, there I'm moving again. It's showing me still on Facebook. Man, I hate when this kind of stuff happens.
Yeah.
This is par for the course when we're talking OBS too. Let me close Total Mix.
We're losing viewers. Oh my god!
Crap.
I'm just kidding.
Okay, so I finally posted my "Am I Still On" thing. Try type in the chat and see if you're in there. Either Facebook chat or whatever.
Yeah, Facebook chat.
Are you seeing my comment? Am I still on? Oh man, technical difficulties. But you're hearing me, right? Are you hearing me? Okay, anybody out there hearing me? Oh, crap. Well, I guess I should turn off this loud air conditioner behind me too. Sorry, folks, for figuring this out. Okay, sorry, oh wow, how typical, huh? Okay, but Rob, do you still hear me? It's probably gonna be 30 seconds of lag. Jesus. So let's see, Joshua. Where's Joshua? He disappear? Let me check Skype. Oh, yeah, he's not on Skype no more. Let's try this. That's Joshua refusing to talk to us. Holy crap. Joshua isn't online. No. Joshua died. Okay, so yeah, Rob, you're hearing me. Joshua disappeared. I don't know why it's still showing his screen here. It shouldn't be. It's interesting how well this NDI is working though when I remember to turn it on. I'm not sure what that other noise is. Like I have this thing cranked. I don't know. So you can use. Oh, there we go. Okay, you there?
I'm there.
All right. Yeah, I'm not sure what happened. I don't know.
It was me. It's my Wi-Fi keeps. Yeah, it was totally my Wi-Fi. I had to restart the router.
Oh no. Wow. Oh, did it die again? No. Okay, you staying with us?
We're there.
All right.
Okay.
All right. So hopefully this will stay going. So okay. So some of these people might not know. Where is Widowmaker Studios?
Widowmaker Studios is in McAllen, Texas. It is basically I have a house with a back apartment, and that's pretty much where my studio resides, in my little back apartment. It's always been like an extra room in my bedroom, but I've built it all myself completely.
Oh wow. I mean, people come there. You even mix something from Hawaii over there, right? So.
Yeah. So I try to do a lot of as much remote work as I can because I focus a lot of my skill on mixing and mastering. So that helps me do remote work everywhere. So I got them just because Eddie from Gorgos out there in Hawaii, he is a cousin to one of my locals.
Oh, wow.
And our Facebook, he saw me on Facebook and it just started from there. But I actually just really got lucky with that one, that he had moved to Hawaii, like, I don't know, 15 years ago or so. And he still we had some mutual friends still in this area. So it was funny.
Cool. So the really important question is, how far away is this from your house?
Well, that is like 20 minutes away.
I mean, it's like a beautiful nature area. There's a little pond back there. How actually remote is this? Like, are there still animals out there?
It's actually a refuge park, a refuge center. It's like one of our wildlife parks down here, and we kind of just went in with a camera guy with our guitars on our backs, and we're hoping they weren't going to tell us anything for going and filming. And everything is actually raining. You can barely see it because of the way everything's color graded, but it's like drizzling the entire time. In fact, when we're in the top of the tower, it's like the worst. And I was like really scared because I had just gotten that guitar sent from Legator like a few weeks before. So I was like, oh my God, my new guitar is getting like all rained on. Super crazy.
So that's another thing. Like, you got a ton of all kinds of endorsements, right? So are you, does Legator send you those guitars?
Legator, yeah, they've sent me about 3 so far.
Wow.
I've gotten artist discount. Like, if I want a guitar that is different from what they're trying to like push, then like I get like a really good artist discount. But yeah, they try to keep me updated with the latest and greatest. You know, I'm constantly producing content, making videos, doing music videos with different bands. So they just try to keep one in my hands at all times, which is pretty awesome.
Yeah, you know, for me, but in order to eat while I was working at studios and stuff, I was riding my bike, and you know, one of the sponsors told me, you know, you don't have to be the best over at the skate park. You just got to be the loudest. As long as people see you doing stuff on our stuff, we'll keep giving you stuff, you know. And so
Yeah,
that's kind of the trick, right? You're always doing something. Like you always
yeah.
have. Yeah. What was the thing you're doing with the
Like I
video
have,
game
I have,
music?
and it's weird, you know, because like I just have a lot of hobbies, and everybody kind of gets confused on what I'm trying to push, but it's just because like for me, so many things are going on at once. You know, Lavoshio has a video that's coming out here in the next couple of weeks that we filmed in May, or yeah, in May. And everybody's always working on something, and everything gets released when it does. But then I use Widowmaker reviews and videos like that to kind of fill in the gaps in between all the band music videos, you
Yeah.
know. So I
So
just try to keep content flowing, keep things interesting.
so you're filming videos too?
I film my own like reviews and stuff like that. Like you can kind of, if you look through my videos, you
Yeah.
can kind of tell what videos are mine. But I have a guy who does my music videos. He works really close with me, and he's a good friend. And so I try to work with a lot of people in my area because we're still not that big of an area, the RGV. We're like 15 minutes north of Mexico. Um, so I try to work with everybody who's trying to, you know, the fellow grinders and people who are trying to excel in their craft. So like he'll come and stay for like a week at a time and be editing video while we shoot, and I'm here working with bands and stuff like that.
Oh, that's
So
cool.
we created like a really cool team, me and him and a few other people. We just try to stay very tightly niched in our area.
That's really cool. So I think you know, the other week I was talking to Phil Zio about mixing. So I've seen some power metal videos out of you, right? And but we're talking
Yeah.
about the difference between, and you know, I thought it would be the same thing, you know, so black metal and power metal. But last time we went through the anthropology of all this stuff. So it's
For me, I think if I were to like make a quick judgment on like the difference, black metal is a lot more roomier and frugal with your processing. Whereas uh, power metal, it's very direct, very punchy, and just like in your face. Not a lot of that rawness. So those are the two different like ways I would probably go about mixing black metal and mixing dark metal, power metal.
yeah. But I mean, so when you really get into it, I know a lot of people will say the same thing. You're like the power metal is pretty epic sounding, and really there's a lot of really good production and stuff in there.
Oh yeah,
And then black metal sounds like somebody put an old cassette out, ran it over with the truck, and then put it through a bandpass filter. So you got a little bit of mids and some scratchy highs, and that's about it. But I'm betting that just like any other sound that sounds like it really is meant to sound like crap, it takes a lot of work to get it to actually sit that way. Because when you just try and throw like a distortion box over a drum set or something, it's going to be all pokey and stuff. It's just sound pretty
yeah,
crappy.
it doesn't work exactly.
Yeah, my
Yes, those people work on their craft. You know, like it may be like raw and crappy, or not really, but they still have to work at making it sound like that. You know, I'm pretty sure the way they capture it has a lot to do with it.
yeah. So what do you think on the tracking side when you're talking about, like, you know, me and Phil, he really talked about, you know, don't judge them all. So but the stereotypical black metal band, what do you think they have on their drum sets?
Like one mic.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. So my brother plays this stuff he calls power violence, right? And it's similar sounding to black metal stuff, but it's just really fast. Sounds like crazy hardcore punk. It's just and it's like a 15 or 20-second song, but it's
Yeah,
kind of
yeah.
the same.
Some,
I think they like having just you know, kind of just the drum set mic. You know, there's not going to be like that car stereo kick and the
no.
and the big super boomy snare from Def Leppard or nothing. It's just the whole drums are one instrument with that stuff.
Yeah, very very roomy, very big, and just drowned with reverb.
And I didn't even think about the reverb side of that. Like, I guess it's
Oh,
there, but I just hear crack, 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 crack.
See, I started recording in middle school personally, just because, I grew up playing guitar since I was 5, and I finally got into, putting down my own ideas. And by the end of high school, I finally realized that I wanted to record, on a more professional level and kind of do it as a career. But after high school, I was still working on the personal bands and projects that I was working with. I wasn't really going and seeking out clients. My whole thing was, there are producers in my area who are way better than me. I have a lot of learning and catching up to do before I even start to tackle the market. So that's what I did for a long time. And the very first band that hit me up to record them, they wanted me to record them because they thought my stuff sounded professional, and it was still garage sounding to me. But I was looking for the practice, and they were a black metal band.
Oh.
So I still try to give them like a modern punchy sound with what I was working with. But the vocalist, I just remember, like, he wanted the vocals drowned in reverb. Like, you didn't really want to get too much direct pokiness. You just wanted like the wash of vocals.
And were these like an American black metal band?
Yeah, they were. Yeah, Mexican.
Yeah, no. See, it seems like in Mexico, they picked up black metal. I don't know if it's before us here, but they definitely had more of a movement right away. Like I was like, so it goes straight from Sweden and Norway to Mexico, and like bypassed America.
And it's still
like
going on right now. Like, there's still like all that in Mexico, like just blasting, and it's crazy because like it'll come right up to the border town of Reynosa, which is like 15-20 minutes away from me. It's a border town from us, and they'll go as high as that, and they'll never cross the border because it just doesn't sell the same as it does down there. Down there, they'll sell out.
Well, I have a theory. See, I think I think that black metal face paint. That's how we see the guys in the desert with the swords and stuff. It's very easy to translate that to the luchadors, right? The wrestlers always got the mask on or the painted face, right? And you watch those wrestling matches, and the opponent always ends up with the guy's paint all over him, right? If he's not wearing a mask and he's wearing the paint instead. So maybe it's more culturally acceptable over there or something. Maybe that's the trick.
I heard of this death metal, black metal band coming through this like past 2 weeks, and they were supposed to be here at the border town, but the city canceled the show because they thought it was going to be too satanic.
Wow.
So they're still, they're still very religious and down there.
So I don't know if you know, in our group, in our Facebook chat group, that Vern in there, he's the one who does the all the audio for like the ACA and all those groups, the in Texas, the Austin Atheist Community Austin or whatever. So if they cancel another show, you should just tell Vern to send Matt Dillahunty down there to yell at everybody.
Show him what's up.
Yeah. So when did you record your first power metal band?
My first power metal band was actually Immortal Guardian.
Oh wow!
But I actually just mixed and mastered them. They had recorded everything. Actually, Gabe, their guitar player, he's the mastermind behind everything. He recorded everything in the span of like 5 years. He had like some of the cello and sax players on there. They're real players. He got heavy into the EDM world because he was a guitar player, a shredder, playing with EDM artists, being hype men. And he got super saturated into that and just made a lot of contacts for his power metal band, Immortal Guardian. So at the time when he was doing all that EDM stuff, he was just collabing with different artists and different musicians and putting together this like big old grand epic CD. And as soon as that calmed down, he finally started he came to me to mix and master. And actually, when he first came to me to mix and master, he was looking at rates, and I told him that he'll probably find somebody better. I said, like, I would really love to do it, but I honestly think you're going to find somebody better than me to do it. And mind you, the previous person to mix their EP is Roy Z. Roy Z mixed their previous EP. So fast forward a year later, after he asked me, he was like, "Hey, I think we're finally ready to mix and master. Can you do a test mix?" And I did a test mix, and from there, it just kind of turned into this whole thing. And then I started to have more power metal bands. I have another, power metal local band that hit me up to do stuff, and it's crazy. Like, I'm not a big power metal guy, but it's starting to flourish in that area. My mixing skills and stuff like that, just because that's what's coming up to me.
Well,
but
you do a lot of that shreddy stuff, so I mean that's 90% of power metal, right?
Yeah, definitely. Fast kicks, shreddy guitars. You want to hear all the orchestration and synths, whatever it may be. But yeah, I guess it was right up my alley. Yeah. See, I grew up with a lot of like John Petrucci, Steve Vai, Joe Satriani. Those were the guitar players that I was mimicking growing up. So I don't know, like, I liked power metal, but I never went and like had a phase where I was listening to like Camelot, like all their CDs and stuff like that. I don't know. I don't know. It didn't happen for me.
For me, it's always peripheral, like, because there are like Judas Priest kind of power metal songs. There are tons of Dio, pretty much power metal songs.
Yeah.
A little bits of Iron Maiden. You can hear bits of that in there. But
I really liked Dragon Force, and when the Summer Guitar Hero 3 came out, I spent all summer trying to beat Through the Fire and Flames on Expert.
Man. And, I was a huge Rainbow fan, so like Rainbow, I think that was, the original like Lord of the Rings kind of music, right? And then
Viking metal.
Oh yeah. But like it's funny that you talked about that guy was doing something with the EDM bands. Like, I always wanted, and I actually made some songs, but I never actually finished anything. But I do have little bits of recordings of I'm kind of playing like this techno with guitar. Like, I was a huge Trans X fan, and it kind of sounds like like Dead or Alive or whatever. Like all those happy kind of, not quite techno, but the early synthy pop stuff.
See, that's the stuff that I like. I grew up with a lot of Nine Inch Nails and a lot of Trent Reznor and like Prodigy, Aphex Twin. So when it comes to electronic music, that's where I kind of gravitate more towards like the EDM, and they're kind of the same, but they're kind of not. I love the 90s style of trance music, I guess.
Yeah, we had I didn't have any keyboard players to play with, so I would just back then it had like a Rockman chorus and sustainer or whatever, and I would just try and figure out how to play keyboard parts on the guitar, and kind of came up with a hybrid. And then I was so mad because all through the 90s, I got to record a lot of cool people, but I never got a Venga Boys album. I never got an Aqua album. I wish I would have gotten something like that crazy stuff. I wouldn't even know how to do it, but still, it would have been fun. So there's something about that you hear. It's kind of like these we were talking before, me and Phil, about there's some kind of folk melody that you have inside you and you already know it. And the EDM guys were really good about bringing those out, and so are the power metal guys. Especially when it sounds like pirates, and I know they do have that pirate metal now, sea shanties. Yeah, so you already have those ingrained in your DNA, and I always thought they tapped into it. Like in the 80s and the 70s, the skinhead music tapped into that. It was like a recruitment. It's almost psychological that this sound, come join us. It's because it's all about the joining thing.
I think it definitely depends on like where you grew up and your like what's around you at the time. Because I really did like power metal and stuff, but like around me at the time, a lot of like deathcore kids. Deathcore was getting really big, so I kind of like conformed to the whole deathcore. But it's still like like Southern metal, all that Southern stuff. The Texas people, like that Texas metal.
Yeah.
I don't know. I did some demos for my friend from California, and I did some shredding over it, and he goes, "Oh my God, you're so Southern," and I'm just like, "What do you mean
What
I'm
does that
Southern?
mean?
Like, what does that mean? It's just like you play very Southerny, like I don't know, Texas metal." I'm like, okay, I guess so.
When I
What
think
is the
of
California metal?
yeah, when I think of Texas metal, I think of like places like Austin, which still are the only places on earth where you still really have a big live music component. So these guys are like battle testing every night, and half the time, at least I don't know how it is now, but during the '90s, you could be at a club in Austin, and a blues band would go on, and then Pantera would go on, or a band like that,
Yeah.
and then another blues band, and so these guys were absorbing all this crazy stuff, and then what's weird for me is that there weren't more people like John Christ when he was playing with Danzig. Like there was like none of those in Texas. There's a few, but there really wasn't.
No,
I would have
isn't.
expected that because that's like the fusion of all that. I guess it's a little bit more swamp rocky Cajun kind of thing, but it's got that sound to it, and any Texan could make that type of sound, but I don't know that I would know it from the shredding.
It's like blues. Blues over here in Texas is like it is our roots. So when I started getting out there, I just started learning a lot of blues, but that's not the case for everybody. I guess it's just more a regional thing. Like we play a lot of blues licks is all over. Everybody's playing down here, whether they like it or not. Even the teachers they're going to is teaching them pentatonic and blues scales. So there's just a lot of that. It's blues and Pantera. Everybody's, CFH. But yeah, I don't know what tangent I was going on.
So it's all right. It's interesting that like the culture. Me and Phil were totally talking about the anthropology of this stuff, but it's a trip how scenes are formed and stuff. But like, and where
the cultural difference.
But so when you does a Texas power metal band sound different than a California power metal band?
Oh, it's def. I definitely think so. And it's weird because they're probably listening to the same influences, but because of what their culture is and where they grew up, they're going to translate it differently, right?
What about the mix though? What about the recording? You think the different areas trying, because back in the day it didn't matter what genre you were. There was a New York sound, there was an LA sound, there was a London sound, there was a Phoenix sound, and you could.
That's crazy to think about. I would wreck my head over that because I'm the type of producer who tries to do like all the sounds and to be. I hate when I can't achieve a certain sound. I'm like, oh, I can't do this.
Well, things like New York compression and stuff, or parallel compression, whatever. I mean, that was the sound of that place. London, you had that super hyped highs, that just constant Mutt Lange blast of air, and LA started coming out with that like 160 hertz in the snare, or 180, like giant bottom end snare with the reverbs that were almost like nailed cymbals, So that each place had a different sound. But when I hear
really, if you listen to a snare, that's not what a snare sounds like. But that's what like engineering has turned it into.
Well, it's funny because I think of black metal has a more realistic kick sound than any other genre, right? Because it kind of sounds like the kick. Whereas every other thing, it's got to sound like this gigantic lows and splatty highs,
Yeah.
But I'll take that. I like the exaggerated. But so do you think that the mixes in power metal are a little bit more uniform across wherever place you are? They kind of have that same sort of sound?
I think so now more than ever because how everybody is mixing in the box and mixing with plugins. I think back then it also had to do with the equipment that was around those studios. And, it was just, everybody was learning their techniques with their equipment, which was different. Now it's like everybody's got the same plugins, everybody's doing the same techniques, So I think nowadays it's a lot more across the board.
Yeah, that's kind of every genre too, right? They all kind of, it's more about the genre sound than the place you are.
Yeah, definitely.
So what's
And the processing changes depending on the sound, like how you're going to clip, like clip drums in like gent and chugginess, they love to like ultra clip it and heighten everything super crazy.
Yeah, see, I still don't like. We had that whole show on clipping, right? I still don't get it. I I'll clip stuff, in order to whack junk that I'm not going to hear, but I cannot make it make sounds that I want it to make, and like, so that's a big one. Like, so I know this happens in other kinds of music too, but one of the things that happens in power metal that somehow you guys have a handle on, and I don't think anybody else does to this degree, is that the slow kick sound, it's very compatible with the fast kick sound. What I mean is, if I were to set up,
Same sound.
yeah, if I set up a good kick sound for like a rock band, and then somebody came in with 5,000 beats a second double kick, it's just going to turn into this muddy, gross thing. But somehow in power metal, so how do you guys handle that? What is it that you do to the kick so it doesn't jump out and turn like into mush?
I high pass. I actually automate it. I'll put on like a Fab Filter EQ, and I'll high pass it until I feel it tightens it up, and then turn it on and off. And then if I think it needs, because sometimes, like recently I was working on some mixes and the kick was still getting a little too much, so I will high pass it and take a low shelf and just shelf it down like a dB and a half, not too much, just so it takes care of that flubbiness. But I mean, I think it also comes to when you start with a kick sound and you're picking samples, we look for attack, a lot of attack and little sustain. We want the low end to be there and punchy, but it's all about the attack. You're just really looking for, I'll pick 3 different kicks that have a super high attack, a high mid attack, and then a kick that is everything in the middle, and blend all those to get my sound. And then like I'll snap a compressor super hard, so you're already like, you're kind of losing low end because you're compressing it, right? So you're just getting like this super quick attacky kick sound. And then what sucks about what you're saying is when you do the slow kick, you still have the attack kick sound. But like, honestly, I'm about to do Immortal Guardian. I'm going to be recording their next album here in November. I'm flying out to Las Vegas to record them. And I'll probably pick different kicks for different stuff, meaning like I'll have a longer, punchier kick for the slower stuff, and then I'll have the quick attack, super bright, a kick for the higher stuff. But I think it's just really, it came down to me sticking with one kick sound the whole time, that I made it work for the fast kick stuff, that when it comes to the slow stuff, it is what it is. It's super quick, decaying quick kick.
Yeah, one of the things that that I see with that, like, man, whenever I have to deal with that kind of stuff, and I barely do, like, I'll just duplicate the track in Reaper, and I'll have like different stuff, and I'll group the tracks so that I can just click and split it and then delete it. So
Same.
Yeah, so so forget the automation, because that's just a pain. Like, I'm terrible with the automation.
When that was like it, because I do URM, Nail the Mix. This month we're working on Flesh God Apocalypse, but I've learned a lot of stuff. A lot of my mixing techniques come from them. I actually took their speed mixing class last year with Joel Wanasek. I'm always trying to learn and just keep learning, because there's so many styles out there that you kind of always have to stay competitive. But I forgot exactly. Yes.
No. Oh, I thought you were about to croak out.
What was the question? I totally forgot where we're at.
Well, it's about the automation, because you don't want to automate in all that junk.
I don't automate. I learned to automate with that, but really, I would just duplicate the kick and make a different kick sound, and just have trigger on for the times that I need it.
Yeah, sometimes for me, I'll just
I mean, because you know how easy it is in Reaper. You double click and you already have a new track. You drag it under and a new send is there. So when you're trying to be fast and work on all these tracks, it's just easier to duplicate something than bring up an automation lane.
My thing is that often, as terrible as this sounds, when I want to have a different sound, I just let in pretty much all of the real drum sound. It's so sad because I get so far away from what the actual drums sound like. But man, just letting the regular mic kick and snare come through, it's a whole different sound for you. You know, you can use sometimes. And then that PSA one, that free plugin, that one of those KVR, yeah. So I put that thing like that. That's a good transformer for the drums too. You know, so
yeah. I forgot that people do stuff like that. I guess because like I have like a lot of samples and a lot of modern stuff that I've never gone and like done any of that crazy stuff because I just grab a sample that already sounds crazy over the top. But I totally forget that people still run kicks through Sans amps or crazy distortions to
run
get
the
that
whole drum set. So, you know, we were doing, you know, we had this one producer. I forget what his name is actually. I'm forgetting. It might have been Lee Popa, but he did all of the R bands, so refreshments, replacements, Rembrandts, that kind of stuff. And he would take a shotgun mic and he'd put it pretty high above the drums, pointed right at, and then plugged into the old, you know, the silver Sans amp that thing was based on. And it was the weirdest thing because the cymbals would quiet down. They would only get so loud when you hit them through that. And then the toms picked up notes. They were like, doo, doo, doo. And so you really had to tune them well. So he would make us take like one of those oratones, and you'd play a tone on the oratone, put it on the tom, and turn all the tuners on the drums until you did that beat, you know, that until you really got it exactly in tune. And then it was the weirdest thing because after all that, you know, he'd do this with every single one of those bands, and after all that, he'd mix in like minus 1,000 decibels in there, so you'd never even hear it. But it's the coolest sound, and so I always end up kind of using that thing because it's not like it's kind of like the Led Zeppelin thing actually. It only gets so loud before that thing just completely flattens it out, you know. And then the PSA one actually has that extra compressor thing ahead of it. It's like the leveler or something, and that really does it. Like,
just squashes the shit out of it.
Yeah. So yeah, always mute your stuff before you turn that thing on because he never put like overload protection on that thing. It'll blast right out the thing. So, but it's a cool sound. But I don't think you would actually do that in power metal, right? I don't see why the black metal guys don't do it because it kind of sounds like their stuff.
Yeah, they need that, especially if like you're trying to get that like extra ambiance. You know, like I smash my rooms a lot with different distortions. I try pretty much like whatever I'm in the mood for, but like I've gone crazy with just like totally destroying rooms just to add all that vibe so that it just stays there and you're just bringing in how much of that vibe or real drums back into the mix, because we work on being so punchy that we lose the connection between the kick, snare, tom, and stuff. So I'll destroy rooms just to bring that back in.
How far are your room mics from your drum set?
So like I have a really small space that I'm actually working with, but it so happens that the space that the room is recording in, there's a restroom connected by a door that has a shower, a stand-up shower, and I actually put a room mic in there. And then if I want to make it extra long, I'll like add a reverb to it and just go 100% in the reverb to add more tail. But really, if I'm not given a long room mic, I will just trigger in a room mic sample.
Oh wow!
And cover it back in. So
see, mine, I don't know. Can I put I wonder if I could put my other webcams out in the big room. Mine is I have PZMs on the walls that are about 13 milliseconds from the thing, so it's not like a really long room sound, but it's enough that it does that thing. It blends it together by then, you know.
Especially if you destroy the hell out of it just with whatever you have, decapitator or any distortion saturation of your choice. sometimes like more than like, you know, the old 1176 trick where like you throw your ratio up and make what is it, really slow attack and release times.
Yeah, that's kind of like the John Bonham thing, right? But you know, with reverb and everything else, I don't know, but I always end up doing. Sometimes I'll distort with that Sansamp thing, but I barely use them. You know, honestly, I use them to stick the drums together to make it so that you don't think it's a fake drum set. You know.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, that's where all the realness comes back, and that's exactly what I learned from Nail the Mix. I think they were working on the mix, and every mix across the board, they would be like, okay, let's bring back the drum sound with the room mics. In fact, Joel Wanasek and I agree, and I kind of do the same, just because I can never get it to sound right personally. But he never uses reverbs for his drum sounds.
Oh wow.
He uses entirely room mics, and if it doesn't have one, he'll add it in. And I just learned how to work with room mics so much that like a reverb sounds weird. You know, like the CLA. I know he uses reverb on his drums, and every time I try like the CLA drum plugin and like mess with his reverbs, it just never works for me.
Yeah, my thing with reverbs and drums is that it's been 20 whatever years since we've had native plugins and stuff, and I swear we still don't have a gated reverb like on the Eventides, you know, or even the crappy Yamaha ones, you know.
Oh man, all I have is like the plug-in versions of everybody's gated reverb, you know.
Yeah, but most of them don't really do their. See, I don't want to be one of those guys who's like, oh, unless you use this special. I mean, you guys know how skeptical I am about like all these magical claims about gear, but I'm telling you, like, our DSP, just it's not the same. Like I actually. One of the early things I did way back when was impulsed all my Eventide reverbs from an H3000, and you can hear it, you can compare it, but because you can't really, you can stretch and shrink the impulses, but it's not the same as actually tweaking the parameters, and it just sounds so different. There's this hardness to it, and like the sparkle. Like I don't know. I don't want to sound like an audiophile, but
it sounds fake. That's why I don't use reverbs a lot. Is because to me they just sound fake. I don't know. It's just weird. Well, at least when it comes to drums, like I'll use reverb on leads and vocals, but like with drums, it's just really hard for me to do a reverb. The only time I will is snare bombs. You know that.
yeah.
For certain parts, I'll do that, but that's pretty much the extent of my reverb on drums. But then again, I don't have a lot of experience with like, you know, analog gear or like, you know, stuff like that, so I wouldn't know the difference.
Well, that was digital, but it was the DSP. Like everybody was working on DSP back then.
Yeah, instead now we have everything like a plugin. It's just not the same.
Yeah, but you know. It should be. It's DSP. You know, you should be able to port it right over. You know, but it may not exist. Like even the Eventide ones, they gave us. So when that H3000 factory plugin, it doesn't have the reverbs, and I don't think it has the harmonizers either. It might, but so weird, man. Like just give us the DSP, just straight up. You know, in the early days, like 1999 or whatever, they're like, oh, well, you can't do that because it'd bring a computer to its knees. And it really wouldn't. They kept making these crazy reverbs with 5 billion parameters and 15-second long reverbs, and that didn't kill the computer. So, you know, it's just an excuse back then, but I don't know what it is now. Come on, make the DSP.
Nobody's focused on it. We're trying to get the best guitar tone VST right now. Really. That's what it seems like, you know what I mean? Like everybody, Fortin and everybody coming out with the new apps, which are amazing, by the way.
Yeah.
I've tried all the stuff, but I feel like that's what everybody's focus right now is, like coming up with easy plugins that you can just turn on and get an awesome sound, and guitar plugins.
Well, so speaking of which, have you tried that? I don't even know how they say it. ToneLib, like the ToneLib GFX and ToneLib Jam. We talk about it on this show all the time. I haven't. In fact, I just Googled it right now just because you're telling me. So this is the weirdest thing, okay? There's only a few people, I think, and I think we know them all, who could come out with something like this so quickly. and none of them are admitting to it. So I'm still trying to figure out who's making this stuff, but I'm sure somebody did already. But there's a lot of things. I don't know if you ever saw my manifesto I wrote to Positive Grid for their next version of Bias FX 2. They actually implemented a lot of what I asked for, but there's a lot of like bonehead simple things that you need in any plugin, and that most of these guys get wrong by trying to be also realistic with the knobs so that you can't get back to a setting or directly enter whatever. This one, they let you do it in ToneLib, and it's free. I don't know how long it's going to be free for, if it's going to be an item mall kind of deal. But worse than this, let's see, where's the other part?
Downloading 28 megabytes.
Yeah, it's extremely efficient. It doesn't, like, I love Bias. You know, I'm always talking to the developers, but their stuff is sketchy, man, especially in real time when you're recording. This ToneLib thing, it doesn't use any CPU. It's like I wonder if it's made in WDL actually. But there's another thing these guys make, and so it's called Jam. It opens most Guitar Pro files for free. And then it's got this 3D mode that turns it into like a game, so that you can, you know, when you're teaching and stuff.
You showed me this. Yeah.
Yeah, this is incredible, man. Like, I'm still getting my hands around why it has VST plugins, which is kind of weird. But you know, for all I know, that not only are they going for scoring, they may be going for a DAW, you know, or at least a simple one. So I'm not sure. This is kind of crazy, but
if they can get a little more intuitive. I love Reaper, and to me it was really easy to figure out. But I guess for a lot of people, Joey Sturgis, it's not intuitive enough. But I think if they can do Reaper in a more intuitive way, they might have like a winning chance.
Well, I always looked at it like this. So I doubt. By now there probably is, but in the early days when Reaper was first coming out, there wasn't anybody who had gone around the country as much showing it and just speaking to people, you know, before YouTube was even really a thing, talking to everybody about it. And so the weird thing is, I found this phenomenon real early on with Reaper. If you hadn't used the DAW before, and this is your first entry into recording on the computer, especially if you're an old analog guy used to razor blades and tape and mixing consoles, and especially patch bays, they had like zero trouble learning Reaper. So we didn't have a manual because they never had any problems picking it up. But if you're used to another DAW, especially a two-tonic one like a Cubase or Logic, the amount of not clicking and changing tools that you had to do in Reaper was completely counterintuitive to them. And it's like no, I want to change tools every time I want to do a basic function. You know, so they had a lot of trouble. So I think Joey Sturgis is like a Cubase guy, right? So
yes, he is a Cubase guy,
yeah.
and that was a big deal. Like everybody freaked out. Like he put it's a good software, but it's not intuitive, and like all including me, I was just like, how is this? How are you not getting this? To me, you know, the untold rule of Reaper is right click it.
Yep.
Right click corner and edge. But I think everybody really needs to get that.
Yeah, but see, if you come from a two-tonic app, chances are when you started, and these apps still have these DAWs still have this philosophy that there is no right click button. The Mac has one mouse button and that's it, you know. And so many of these things, there weren't like speed menus, or if they were, there were all different conventions for them. Where, I mean, let's be honest, when Reaper came out, it was pretty much straight lifted out of Vegas, you know, for a lot of the parts, you know. It was Vegas like with fixes.
You're gonna feel really old right now, but like Reaper is one of my first DAW, and I think you were in Reaper 4 at the time.
Oh man.
Yeah. So like I learned most of my stuff on Reaper, actually. A lot of my stuff, and that's why when I see people doing it in other DAWs, I'm like, why is it so hard to do that?
It used to be way worse. After, like, I know people are going to say this isn't the reason, but after Reaper came out, most of those like just basic bonehead things that the DAWs couldn't do before, they could all do after that. And
yeah,
I mean, I'm telling you, in the early days of DAWs,
in high school, middle school, like, oh, I want to reverse this, right click. Oh, I want to change that slope. Oh, right click.
Yeah.
Oh, I want to do this. Like everything was just like right click, and that was the easiest thing. If you were thinking it, just right click it, and it would just miraculously happen.
Yeah, and so you're lucky to have started in Reaper 4, because I think by then all the DAWs were doing this. But in Reaper 1 days, side chaining plugins to each other was nearly impossible. There was some workarounds you could do in some plugins and some programs, but I wanted a patch bay, and just basic. Give me a patch bay. I just want to, if I want, I want the detector exposed, and I want to plug into it, and you could do it through the left and right stuff with other plugins, but the replugs, as much as people don't like them at this point because they're 5,000 years old, from the start, you would notice that they had 4 pins for the most part, 2 for the audio and 2 for the sidechain. And so that doesn't sound very revolutionary anymore because all DAWs can do sidechaining now, I think.
Yeah.
But at the time, I had always said that, most of these DAWs were made by people who had never been within 20 miles of a recording studio. So they want to tell us how to work instead of them listening to how we worked, And so I was used to a patch bay. If I wanted to stick something together, I had a soldering iron and I had a screwdriver. And if it didn't have the function I wanted in the piece of hardware, I'd just crack it open with the screwdriver and I'd solder in a jack to make that happen. And that was what Reaper was about. Not to make this an advertisement for Reaper, but that I hate that. What is it? It's got to be weekly. There's a rule, some kind of Reaper rule of thumb in the forum that every week somebody's going to come in and say it's too unintuitive to use compared to like something. Sometimes they'll even say Logic. I mean, I don't know if you. So by the time Reaper 4 came out, Logic wasn't that bad. But in the early days, you had this giant encyclopedia on how to run Logic, and even then, it couldn't do much stuff. And they weren't meant to be an audio thing. They were a sequencer, and they excelled at that. But at first, the audio stuff just didn't do anything. Like it was so limited. But you had to click 4 billion times to do anything. And now Logic is like, I see people easy.
I just had a big conversation earlier this week with somebody who was like working way easier in Logic than they were in Reaper because they had tried both of them, and I was like, that's crazy that they.
See, if you were down in the Logic, what is it? I think Logic 4.5 is when they started audio, and I think that was 1999 or 2000. Back then, anybody who said anything about easy and Logic in the same sentence, you'd laugh at them. Like you're like, so you need 50 mouse tools and all this stuff, but I swear that they have streamlined it and trimmed it down. And then just the fact that you can watch YouTube nowadays. Like back in the day, man, your videos were like you had Consumption Junction maybe and E-Bombs World. Like if you couldn't upload your video to those two, you weren't really seeing it. And so it wasn't as easy to learn back then. Even though it was on the computer, it wasn't as easy to just go Google some stuff. There weren't 5 billion people making YouTube videos on stuff.
Now it's easy to learn, but everybody's lazy and doesn't want to. They just want to teach already.
Yeah. It's funny that it's predictable as clockwork that you're going to get that guy that comes in and says that each week, or they'll talk about the GUI and it has to be like this, as if one. It's just funny how these people all see everything from this one size fits all thing, and then they try and shoehorn stuff into it. And I'm like, look, the whole point of reroute in Reaper and its flexible routing and stuff was for you to go use whatever tool you wanted to use. And then if you had to use Reaper for something, you could just connect it with reroute. And so, like at first, people were like, "Oh yeah, you got to make it work like Fruity Loops for the easy creation of songs," and like why not just use Fruity Loops? And so we talked to the guys at ImageLine, and they're like, "Yeah, we can make it so it ran as a VST if you wanted," and they did just that. I think
that exists.
I
really?
think so. Like, let me make sure I don't have that wrong because I think it was.
Because I see people who use Fruity Loops, and sometimes I get like jealous. I'm like, man, I like some of the stuff you're doing in there,
Yeah. So here, Fruity Loops Studio VST. So using it as a plugin inside other DAWs, and so that was really smart of them. But we also made sure that reroute worked with it, and so you use the tool you want to use. We're not gonna stop you, and then Apple bought Logic, and then they made it Mac only. So all of a sudden, bam, half the guys were gone. So now we're talking DAWs, and we're far afield from power metal and black metal, but that's okay. I think people come here for the technical junk.
Yeah.
You've seen what I spent the last few months doing is actually apples to apples testing of mic preamps. You've seen some of that, right?
Yeah.
So
yeah, I have.
I know people keep talking about that, and they accuse me of all kinds of crap. And I don't know if you saw like the on the DI boxes, as much as oh man, I put them in another room, but I've got piles. I've got a mountain of radial DIs, and what ended up testing the best was this Rapco DB100, and that's like a $40 DI box, and it in flatness, in noise, and in distortion, it beat the hell out of everything. You know, it's this $40 thing, and I always put it in the bag for our little kids bands to go use in case they needed a DI, because I'm like, oh, I don't care about this thing. And so now I'm like, oh, I'm gonna just go buy 100 of these, you know, and they don't make them no more. So Rapco got bought by Horizon, and they have a new model.
Horizon devices.
I think it's called the DB1 now. Yeah. So it was the let's see.
My first video that I put out on my YouTube channel was shooting out a radial DI box or reamp box to the DIY RE reamp box, and a lot of people preferred the DIY version, which was only $50 for a kit, you know, and you pay like what, almost $200 for a radial reamp box nowadays.
Yeah. So I have so this was the one that the Rapco DB100. Look, $20 on Reverb right now. This one won out of everything. It doesn't have much features, and even for the ground lip, it wasn't a switch. You would actually plug it in a different input.
Did you happen to shoot it out against a Countryman DI?
Yep. Countryman. Okay, hold on. Let's pull this up. Let's. I have the.
I'm gonna go buy one of these Rapco. Oh, I see. Yeah.
So there's a new one that Horizon, I think it's Horizon that made. So here's
$47 for the new Rapco Horizon Direct box.
Yeah, so I need to order one and try it. So here's let's see, let me put this out where we can actually see it. Oh, this was the Yuri 325, which is like $1 billion direct box. But it was terrible compared to the rest of them. But let's see, the some of these were bad, but you know, all the hate that interface DIs get from all the experts on the gear page and all the audio files and gear sluts guys and stuff, they're talking out their butts, man. The interface ones are pretty good. Even, you know, I've made these at like super high resolution. So here's the crappy Behringer one, right? So at the worst, at like 20K, it's like a decibel down out of flat, you know. So they're all pretty good. Oh man, I shouldn't have done it. My server is so slow. So here's the Countryman. Let me get to noise. And then let's go to the Rapco. So the Focusrite stuff turned out pretty good. The 18i20 was real good. That's the Gen 2.
I have one of those. That's actually like I use an Audient ID14 mainly, but when I aid at a second gen 18i20.
Yeah, I haven't gotten an Audient to test yet, but the Octopre was good too. The IK multimedia stuff was horrible.
Oh no.
So if you look at this, like, it looks really bad, but if you look at the scaling, that's like 0.3 decibels. So it's nowhere near as bad as it looks. But because of that ripple, whenever I see ripples, I think, hey, there's some kind of weird phase problem. Like something's squeaking back in that shouldn't be. So here's the radials, but let me get to the where's the Rapco? Come on. So I tested a lot of stuff, man.
Yeah, you did.
Okay, so here's the wrap. Oh no, why isn't my picture loading? Are you kidding me? Oh man. Well, here I'll pull. Well, I can't believe this. This is crazy. Why? What's wrong with my site? But anyway, here's a Countryman. It's pretty flat, man. Like, you know, everybody says it has this magical lift that just brings out the sparkle in the high end. Oh really? So it rolls off on the Countryman. But really, that's probably higher than your guitar is going to be.
You could see like how it flattens and then it comes up. I can't see exactly what area it starts to come up a bit.
Yeah, but the scale, again.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah, it is really nothing.
Yeah, it's. I mean, you're talking. That's seriously like where it comes down, and 15 kilohertz minus 0.3. So that's nothing. But when you look at the Rapco,
Oh wow!
that's the cheap Rapco. It's just flat. It never gets more than like 0.15 off. It's
well,
crazy.
everything you're looking at comes down, right?
What is that?
Like all the other direct boxes that you're checking out, like they go down.
Most
This
of them
doesn't
do.
even-
But the like, let's see, the radial's the closest one. So the radial. Oh, here's the really bad part. So the Radial Pro D2 is nothing like the Radial Pro DI. The Pro D2 is not two Pro DIs. It's two that measure just about exactly as good as the Radial JDI, and you get two of them for half the price. It's a dual channel direct box. But here, this is and the AV2 as well. The AV2 rings about exactly the same as the Pro D2, and the same noise, same everything. But so here's the Radial JDI. This is kind of the reason I really like this one is just that I trust it, because back in the day you would call Jensen and you would tell them that you wanted to order schematics for one of their transformers, and then you would pay the money and they would fax this exact circuit back to you, this JDI circuit with their Radial or with their Jensen JDI transformer. And so it has like here's the JDI, here's the Rapco. I know I should have done them at the exact same point in the scale, but you'll see the Rapco is actually a little bit flatter, but it's still within. They're both within 0.15 of each other. I mean, it's just ridiculous how close these things are, but both of them are built like a tank. Otherwise, I would say, the build of the Radial, there's why you're paying the money. But
oh yeah,
the Rapco has always, as much as Rapco and Whirlwind, when they make devices, as much as people don't like them, you can run them over, no problem. Run them over with the truck, whatever, and they'll be fine. Those were always well built, no matter how cheap they were. So yeah, now I've gone, but.
You need to check. You need to go order one of these other Rapcos.
I know, I do.
Because as if so, I think that is gonna be my next DI box investment.
But if you really do want a Radial, get the Pro AV2 or get the Pro D2, because it's half the price and it's double the direct boxes. So
yeah, that's true.
But the Pro DI is supposed to be the cheap version of the JDI kind of. It had a lower output. It was a little bit noisier, and but it's still probably pretty much the same frequency response as the rest of them. So it's just, I can't stand these myths. I can't stand when people tell noobs, especially, that they have to pay all this money for something that they've never tested themselves. They all pretend that they can hear the difference from a mile away, and then yet every single time they get tested on it, they can't tell. Like, the really famous one was that Gear Sluts test where they all ended up picking the Art and the Mackie as the best, so whatever, guys. Or like the guys who...
That's just the online community nowadays.
Yeah.
Everybody has an opinion. And their opinion is better.
Yeah. So at least engineers, sometimes they tend to claim they come from a scientific background. Whereas when you get into the guitar forums, man, you may as well be going to an audiophile forum. Those guys are nuts. So like a noob goes like, I just bought this nice guitar, and I want to put this, I want active pickups for various reasons. And they say, oh no, that's a mahogany guitar. You can't put that brand of active pickups in there because it's mahogany. It's going to sound so different. And I'm like, dude, oh man, that'll get me. This will get me DMCA, false DMCA flagged off of YouTube. But whatever. Stop telling noobs that stuff. But that's the thing I wanted to ask you. So I've got 5 bajillion Agiles. I love my Agiles. What's gonna? Oh yeah, and my 725.
I installed a pair of sentient Nazguls in a friend's Agile once.
Oh.
My only thing was like it had a really the action. I couldn't get the action where I wanted it.
Oh man, mine are beautiful. But if I did buy a bunch of fret working tools, because living here in the remote middle of the Pacific, you got to learn how to do all this stuff yourself. So I did a lot of
Oh,
fret
yeah,
work on
same.
my Agiles, but all of mine, of course. I don't know if you can see. Let's see if we can tell. There's a certain feature that all of my guitars have, and I'm trying to make sure.
You gotta like, I want one of those tools.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
need that, but like, I will not do it. I don't know.
Yeah, I did it
You,
back in the day. I did it all with files, but so just the fact that I'm scalloping stuff and I can't wait to play the guitar means I'm going to nick the frets a lot. So I'll scallop it first, and then I went and bought a precision leveler, and then I bought a bunch of those diamond fret leveler.
yeah, that's what I need to get into.
But I'm not good at doing frets. But no, the action's super nice. But
I just did one of those fret leveler kits where like they have those dowels that you like rock, and if it rocks, here's like a wooden piece with different grits.
Oh yeah.
2 different grit sands, and you just like, you know, go through it, make sure there's no like rocking in any of your frets.
Yeah, I use
But
what is that? Where did I put? Oh, so you can get the neck check version. This little tool, so you can rock it with these.
Yep.
Same kind of thing.
Studiosdio makes their branded version.
Yeah, and then wow, where are my frets?
They have a lot of really good tools, but every time I see the price, I'm like,
Yeah, it's scary. But so I was thinking, most of these Agiles, as far as I can tell, they're made in that World Music Factory in Korea that pretty much makes everybody's guitar. So I'm thinking, if Agile ever goes down, where is Legator gonna make? They probably just have pretty much near the same prices and same quality of guitars, right?
definitely.
And those are mostly
I would
bolt-on
actually
though, right?
say that they're like, I feel like a few years ago they were, but right now, their stuff is really crazy, really, really crazy. Like you're getting shredder action.
Yeah, out of the box.
With their entry level
hold on, real quick,
guitars. No problem.
Okay, you guys are here, yeah?
Yeah.
Okay, we'll see the rest of this then.
Okay.
Okay.
Sorry, that's the music school, man.
But-
yeah. So what's the Legators like?
I got this entry Legator, and the way the guy set it up, it's like that butter action where you don't even really press your finger down. And you can tell by a lot of my playing recently, I've been getting into speed picking, and the more I speed pick and practice, the lighter string gauge gets, the lower my action gets, and the smaller my pick gets. And these guitars are just doing it like, the first Legator I got, I adjusted it. Since then, I have not really been touching the adjustments too much because Ben Torres, he's been setting up a lot of their stuff, and he's already giving you the super low shredder action.
Oh, wow.
You know, this guy, he would set up the first round of Bassi guitars before he moved to Legator, and he's just coming in and giving everybody like the super shred. Like, if anything, some people might actually prefer to higher their action a little bit if you're not used to such close action. But I mean, this is stuff, your entry level Ibanez or Schecter will not do.
Oh wow. So do they make neck throughs?
They make some. It just depends on the model, but they're mostly bolt-on.
Yeah, because like this is the Interceptor Pro 725.
That's nice.
Very, very cheap guitar, but it came with stainless steel frets and everything. I mean, it's killer. I heard of
that looks really nice, actually.
Yeah, I hear that there's a lot of quality control issues with the not necessarily the Agiles, but the lower end guitars that Rondo sells.
Ever since I started going to NAMM, everybody has their quality control problems.
Oh wow.
Everybody has them. You know what I mean? Like from Hipshot to the big brands. It's just like it's hard to make a cheap guitar that is the perfect guitar.
Yeah.
Oh man.
But these are all cheap. So this is a 29-inch version. So that when you play up here, it doesn't feel like an ukulele. Like your fingers are separate, man. Way up on the 24th fret. But I can't play chords on it for crap. But it's the same thing. So neck through body, the whole deal, But I have the bolt-on Agiles too, and that seems a little bit more like the Legators. But the Legators look like they had way better work done to them. the bolt-on Agile I have, it took some
definitely.
work. Oh wow.
In fact, what I hear, what I've been being told about these is they're finishing them by hand. Still, so I don't know how much a lot of companies are just like CNCing everything and leaving it as that. Like I'm hearing that like even Gibson, because their CNCs are so bad, that they're coating their necks in black so that you're not seeing the defects that the CNC machine is causing.
Yeah, I know this is blasphemy, but I never understood. Like people make like there's some kind of claim. It's just like mic preamps. Like because it says Gibson or Fender on it, there's something magical about it. Neither of those companies make anything I'd want to play ever. You know, I want 24 frets, which they barely ever make. I want a neck that I can actually get up on top of, you know, and not just some scoop that some block that you slam into with your thumb, you know. I mean, and then that horrible, like it's this skinny at the nut and then it's super wide at the bridge. Like I don't want any of that Fender Gibson crap, you know. They act like it's like this impossibly good stuff that nobody else could make, but man, everybody makes good stuff, you know. You can get good stuff as long as you want to do good work. What's the guy that he's got the big afro? He's always on the Chappers show, whatever. I think he was making his guitars at World right now. Oh, are you pulling out the mystery Gibson or Fender that actually shreds? I know Yngwie plays those things, so I guess I can't play like Yngwie, so I'm not supposed to talk about it. But uh-oh. Uh-oh, did you croak yourself? Let me check. No. Look, is this me or is this Joshua? I think this is Joshua. We're gonna blame him either way. There's a poor network connection. Poor network connection. Oh, Joshua died. See, I wonder if that's me. I think nope. I'm still up on my end, allegedly. Boy, this is gonna be the episode I edited the most. This is crazy. This technical difficulties. So Rob Loyce is saying it should be called dropping out at Pipeline Audio. So he wins the Pith Award of the Internet tonight. Okay. Oh, I've frozen myself too. All right, let me see. All right. I have no idea what's going on, and just in case this is a problem on our end, and I think it's pretty late over where Joshua's at right now. I'm going to end this for now. I think we're going to hopefully get Joshua back and Jim Roseberry next week. I've been trying to get Jim Roseberry since forever, and I'm going to see if he actually shows up. But I will see you guys later because, oh yeah, there we go. Here's Joshua. Hey,
I keep having dropouts.
Yeah. I think, yeah, I figure it's super late over at your house. So I was just saying, I think I got like 2 hours worth of stuff. So I got to split this into 2 weeks. So, you know, I don't mind. We like the first time you and Josh and you and Phil were on with Ed Rye, I think too. We kept jumping to different subjects, so I've never cared too much about being too specific on anything. The only time I really was when I had the guy on about the routing for Windows and the incredible pain that it's still true that how hard it is to move between apps and Windows to put audio from one app to another. including that's why I had that
Yeah.
crazy routing thing up, is because of just how ridiculously difficult that was. So
It does, yeah, it does get, and I've racked my brain over the same thing, especially like streaming through YouTube or Facebook or whatever, and that's all. I was like, I'm sure he's got his own thing worked out. I'm not even gonna worry about that. I'll do what he says.
I mean, now that I got that RME thing in there that has total mix, they're not the only ones that can do loop back. Some of the Motu ones can too, but the only problem with doing that is you're giving up some of your channels. But when you have 32, you're okay, I think. But still,
Yeah, definitely.
you shouldn't be having to give up pairs, but you still do. So I mean, it's just ridiculous. But I am gonna let you go for tonight so you can get some sleep. I have to go
Yes.
home and feed the dogs, and we have a rescue chicken.
Next, we'll do this again and hopefully stay on topic next time.
Yeah, I don't care. I don't think anybody cares. So if they rebel and say that, man, you guys bounce around too much, but that's the thing. It's like, watch Pensado's place. Allegedly, they're on one topic, but it's just some kind of rambling stuff that sometimes you get something out of, sometimes you don't. So I think we're okay.
That's what a podcast is anyway.
Yeah.
Hearing people ramble.
But I'm gonna have to edit this one, so that's gonna be fun. But usually I don't. I just chop off the beginning, chop off the end, and stick it on, and it's good. But all right. Well, thank you for being on very much. Thanks to everybody who actually showed up and didn't talk very much. I hope the YouTube. Oh no, I would have seen it if it's from YouTube. So this is the way it goes. I do these things, then later on when it goes onto YouTube, there's a billion comments about, you should have done this. What about that thing? You totally missed this one. I'm like, well, good. Be on there when it's live next time and come in. It's not. It shouldn't be hard for me to get a Skype call in anyway. So anyway, thanks for being on. Thanks for everybody who listened,
problem.
and I'll see you guys
Catch you later.
next week. Yep, and go check out Joshua's site, Widowmaker Studios. Not the way
Yes,
mine
please.
says Widowmaker Studiosdio, but and yeah, what was that thing, that video? Is that another band? You and that other guy?
Yeah, so like I have like many bands I play with. Lavoshio and Sonic Boom happen to be like my main bands, and Lavoshio is me and this guy shredding, that old style of shredding. We're kind of trying to. There's a lot of modern shredders, and we're just kind of like bringing back a little bit of that older taste again. A lot of Latin influence, as you can tell.
Yeah, and speaking of that, what is that video game stuff you were playing? What was that about?
Okay, so I play with a video game tribute band called Sonic Boom. This is basically me. All of it is a lot of me, and I've been big into the anime world conventions. I would do sound for like 5-6 years in the local anime conventions.
Oh wow!
So I started playing in a video game band that does TV, movie, and video game themes, and it built up to this whole big thing that now we cosplay and dress up as different characters. And I have a light show. I have video programmed to our entire stage, which is all done through Reaper, by the way.
Oh wow!
And yeah.
All right, so you got to check that one out too. So Sonic Bloom.
Is that my end?
Yeah. Yep, it's about to croak again, I think. Yeah, bummer. All right. Okay, so for real this time, we'll let him go. I'll edit this together. Yep. So check out Joshua's stuff. So Widowmaker Studios, Sonic Bloom, I think, and Lavoshio, whatever. I can't. However you spell that. You'll find it at his website. And so I'll see you guys later.